Today is December 10th and is the 10th day of sharing a Bible verse every day leading up till Christmas. Today's verse is actually 3 of them, which are Matthew 5:10 through 12, which says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." So the first part says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake." So when you're being persecuted, when people are treating you horribly and being hostile towards you for righteousness' sake, for being a Christian, standing up for being a Christian, and living in truth and following Jesus, it says, "Blessed are you when that happens." And it says, "For theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And then verse 11 says, "Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account." So like the first verse is saying, blessed are you when others are reviling you, when they're persecuting you, when they're uttering all kinds of evil falsely on Jesus' account. Blessed are you guys when that's happening to you. And then the last verse says, "Rejoice and be glad." That is not at all in our human nature to rejoice and be glad when we're being persecuted. But it's saying, listen, rejoice and be glad. And then it says, "For your reward is great in heaven." So it's telling us, listen, our reward for following Jesus is not on this earth. It's in heaven, to keep our eyes fixed above and what really matters. Because this earth will soon fade and pass, but Jesus doesn't. And one day, any of us who have given our life to him will meet him and spend eternity with him. So saying, rejoice and be glad. There's a higher thing that you have your eyes set on. When they're persecuting you, it's for me, referencing Jesus. And that alone is enough to rejoice and be glad about. And the last part says, "For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." I really like this part because a lot of times as a Christian, it can feel like we're alone. When we're trying to stand up for our faith and share the gospel, it can feel like we're alone. But here it's telling us, "For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Other Christians and people who are following Jesus before you, they were persecuted too. So this part of the verse is very encouraging to me because it's telling us, listen, you aren't alone. There's others who are experiencing this. And I feel like it also can make us go, listen, if others can live for Jesus and they can stand up for Jesus, I can too. So yeah, to me at least, a very encouraging part of the verse. Matthew 5, chapters 6 and 7 are also part of the Sermon on the Mount. I think Matthew 5, I just like a little bit more. One last thing I want to mention was where I got the idea to do these verses. And it was 3 months ago today. Charlie Kirk was shot and he didn't survive. And I was just thinking how he was persecuted and he was reviled and he had all types of evil spoke against him for Jesus' name. And it was just, to me, it's just crazy how godly of a man he was and how he spoke up for truth and he didn't care how much he got reviled, persecuted, or bad spoke against him. Just below Jesus, he was the greatest inspiration that I ever or probably will ever have. So when you're being persecuted and reviled and having all kinds of evil uttered against you for Jesus' name, just remember, blessed are you when this happens, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 11.